A very good evening to you, and thank you for tuning into Brand Plus TV. It's always a delight knowing that you've taken your time and are keeping us company. I am Ndiro Ganga, ready to bring you up to speed with all the top stories making headlines. And as you know, we're all about business. Here is a glance of some of those stories.
Kenya has less than 30 cancer specialists against an increasing cancer population of 43,000 cancer patients.
5th Kenya International Cancer Conference 2018, Destroying the Cells. Third Kara Business Expo and Conference towards housing for all.
In what way is it?
Financial Reporting Awards Conference 2018. Are my financial records in order?
That will mark the first session.
Thank you for staying with us. Now on to our first story. The Kenya Society of Hematology and Oncology, in partnership with the Ministry of Health, today hosted the 5th International Cancer Conference in Nairobi, with the deliberations centered on the integration of research and practice in dealing with cancer. Our reporter Daisy Wambua attended day one of the conference and brings us the following report.
The background is the second leading cause of cancer death worldwide.
The two-day conference will provide a forum for exchange of ideas and authoritative views by leading scientists in discussing ways to improve quality and quantity of cancer research, not only in the country but in the region as well.
The initiative we just mentioned about...
Speaking while officially opening the conference, Dr. Mohamed Kuti, Governor Isiolo County and Chair of the Council of Governors Health Committee, noted the need for research to reduce the number of deaths that are caused by cancer in the region.
If we are to reduce these numbers, research comes in handy. Through research, cancer experts can understand best what ails the community, the prevalent areas, and devise countermeasures to reduce new cancer incidents, improve timely diagnosis, treatment, and untimely increase in survivorship.
He continued to outline the main challenges of treating cancer in the country.
The main challenge remains the distribution and access to these specialists by Kenyans who need their services out of the few cancer specialists in the country, where nearly 90% of them practice in urban areas, and particularly Nairobi, and the other 10% in Mombasa and Eldoret, leaving out the rest of the country, which has a constant growing cancer burden. Kenya has less than 30 cancer specialists against an increasing cancer population of 43,000 cancer patients, which means that every cancer specialist should attend to at least 1,300 cancer patients, which is a dire professional deficit which clearly requires urgent attention.
While acknowledging that indeed health is a devolved function, he mentioned the role played by the county governments in building capacity as well as creating awareness on cancer diagnosis.
County governments are trying their best in disseminating relevant information and education, cancer screening, early diagnosis, referrals, and management of terminal cases. However, more work needs to be done to enhance capacity at the county level through decentralization of facilities for cancer diagnosis and treatment, training of service providers, generating evidence on disease burden through research, as well as increasing population access to such facilities and thereby reducing costs incurred by households in seeking cancer treatment.
Globally, a total of 9.6 million cancer-related deaths have been recorded so far in 2018, and of this, 70% have been in low or middle-income countries. According to the World Health Organization report in 2010, the global economic impact of cancer was estimated to be $1.16 trillion. Closer home, 48,000 cases of cancer are diagnosed annually, with breast cancer recording around 6,000 new cases, cervical cancer recording 5,200 cases, esophagus cancer having slightly over 4,000 new cases, prostate cancer recording 2,800 cases, while cancer of the colon and rectum recording slightly 2,000 new cases.
To address the cancer burden in this country,
Dr. Alfred Karagu Maina, Chief Executive Officer of National Cancer Institute, outlined the cost of cancer to the economy.
from the cost of treating it, as I think I had mentioned about how much it costs to treat, so that's a direct implication. I would look at it also from the perspective of lost productivity. Those people who have cancer and some of their loved ones will have to miss work, will have to fail to do their day-to-day activities and attend to this, to this person, to the cancer patient. When you are talking about cancer treatment, you are looking at three main modalities of treatment: surgery, chemotherapy, and radiotherapy. So the three combined, it is estimated that in a public setup, it will cost a patient about, I think it was about 300 and something, between 330 and 350,000 for one case. Of course, that would be very different in the private sector. In the public sector, if I remember correctly, it was being estimated at about 40,000, I think for cervical cancer or both of them. On average, it will cost about 40,000 to have a diagnosis.
This resulted in this agent.
He went on to state that they were in the process of decongesting the largest referral hospital, Kenyatta National Hospital, by creating specialized cancer treatment centers in different counties.
Majority of our population are not really, are probably living in rural areas, maybe even are living below the poverty line. That's of course is a challenge, and that's why the role of NHIF comes in, because when people have to pay out of pocket those huge sums of money, then it becomes a problem. What we are working on is to decentralize access to care. So we are trying to see how we can have as many centers as possible, preferably even outside Nairobi. So currently, remember I talked about three modalities: chemotherapy, surgery, and radiotherapy. When we talk about chemotherapy, which a good number of patients will require, right now we have a number of our county referral hospitals that have chemotherapy units.
The call is to all key players and stakeholders to work together in an effort to ensure that information about the chronic disease is disseminated in the various communities, reducing the economic burden it represents. Reporting for Brand Plus TV Business News, I am Daisy Wambua.
All stakeholders from both the public and private sector are aligning themselves to the short-term action plan by the government, the Big Four agenda. And today, the Kenya Alliance of Residents Associations, KARA, held its third business expo and conference with the theme, Making Affordable Housing a Reality and Responsive to Community Needs. Our reporter Karari John tells us more.
We should be starting in a short while, but in the meantime,
under the Big Four agenda, the government has committed itself to an ambitious plan of providing affordable housing. It seeks to do this through the construction of 500,000 housing units by the year 2022. It is with the foresight of plugging into the opportunity that KARA held its third business expo and conference today. Chief of Staff and Head of Presidential Delivery Unit, Nzioka Waita, who was the chief guest at the forum, broke down the Affordable Housing Action Plan to the attendees.
We have two sorts of houses. Within this 500,000, we have broken it into 20%, which will be social housing. And by social housing, we mean the people who are paying rent today of 3,000, 5,000 to 10,000 shillings. Those are people who are in need of a government intervention, both in terms of the security of where they stay, the infrastructure for common services, lighting, access for safety. Those people are communities. We cannot pretend that we are going to live here with all these mass urban settlements and not do something about it. So that is one end. Then we have affordable housing, which makes the bulk of our low-income to middle-class homes. Who does not want to own a home?
And we generate over
Representing the Principal Secretary for the State Department for Housing and Urban Development, the Housing Secretary, Patrick Butcher, highlighted that the State Department is considering the use of technology in attaining quality and affordable housing units.
With regard to technology, the government will continue to encourage use of industrial building systems and alternative building technologies that are faster, minimize costs, of high quality, and environmentally friendly.
On these different social programs. So the
UN Habitat, which has its regional headquarters in Nairobi, due attention to the areas through which they can make meaningful contribution to the affordable housing agenda. This was done through the UN Habitat Senior Human Settlement Officer, Dr. Thomas Chiramba.
One of the areas where we can support you is through innovative designs, not only of the housing and urban settlements themselves, but also in crafting financial measures that would also be accessible to the least privileged or to the low income. We can also contribute towards planning measures and also helping you to emphasize the fact that we should not only look at houses, but we should look at living spaces more broadly. We can support you by giving advice or showing other best practices in terms of policy or institutional arrangements that have been put in place to deliver on such mass houses from all over the world.
Somebody looking at it? Yes.
Implementation of the housing plan will be the only pointer to its success, and to this regard, the chairman of KARA, Richard Nyaga, had this to say.
We are, of course, aware that there has been previous attempts to provide adequate housing for most Kenyans. Those who remember the Vision 2030, the provision had been made there for providing 200,000 units annually for all income levels. Unfortunately, we are not able to achieve this goal. I guess there are many competing interests within the government, but we hope that this time we can beat that record.
Theodore Foundation Programs Manager, Mr.
As the country waits in bated breath for the implementation of affordable housing projects, all hopes are that it will see the light of the day within the scope provided. Reporting for Bramplus TV, I am Karari John Wombugu.
Guaranteed off-taker. So you, for example, I always say...
Well, on that note, let's head for a short commercial break, but do stay with us as we still have so much more lined up for you on the other side, including matters sustainable businesses. See you shortly. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now on to matters financial reporting. Financial Reporting Awards held a conference at Safari Park Hotel today in anticipation of the gala dinner tomorrow. Today's conversations was centered on the theme, leveraging improved financial reporting and corporate governance for economic growth and development in the East African region. Take a look. Speaking at the event, the keynote speaker, Honorable Josephat Nenok, Chairman Council of Governors, said that the counties are slowly finding a way of integrating financial reporting and corporate governance in their day-to-day activities, despite the challenges they continue to face.
Since the devolution, county governments have been in existence for 6 years now. What I can say is for all the 47 counties, a lot of progress has been made compared to the initial 3 to 4 years when we had new personnel dealing with financial accountability and reporting. but there have been quite significant number of trainings conducted, both by the National Treasury and other institutions. So improvements have been made, but there is still a lot to be done on the area of capacity building, on the area of enforcing regulations. As you may have noted in the various Controller Director General's reports, that we still need a lot more, so that we can be able to build a work ethics that is of personnel, particularly accountant and procurement officers, who can be able to ensure that there is probity in management and accounting for public financial resources.
The perspective.
While mastering the art of financial reporting and corporate governance is not easy, Tom Kimaru, Regulatory Affairs Director at NSC, said its importance outweighs the challenges, as it is one of the sure ways to attract investment and boost growth.
Sound corporate reporting reduces the risks of investments and lending, and thus shaping the conditions for sustainable and equitable private sector-led growth. The exchange notes that the state-owned enterprises play a key role in East Africa, as they provide essential goods and services to citizens and local businesses, and are significant sources of employment as well as productive investment. By embracing transparent and modern governance, our region can improve its service delivery performance and reduce the fiscal burden state-owned enterprises impose on national budgets.
However, those fruits can only be born if there is good governance. Prof. Gituro Wainaina, School of Business, University of Nairobi, said the impact of poor corporate governance on businesses and the country at large is detrimental.
From a very high perspective, you don't see any growth, because I think the topic is spot on: improve financial reporting and corporate governance for improved economic development. So you can actually see improved financing, corporate governance, they are feeding into economic development. So if we mess up here in terms of good reporting, we mess up in terms of good corporate governance, then this doesn't happen. So from the macro perspective, from a very clear macro perspective, then that will be the impact. And what you find, and I tell it very clearly, if we don't address those, then the issues of the agenda we have in this country, driving the Vision 2030, and I'm talking about the medium term 3, I'm talking about the big 4, then there are challenges. And I think it's important to appreciate that it doesn't just cut in government, it cuts the whole process, because the big 4 is a private sector who help the government to implement that. So it has tremendous impact on wealth creation. I think that's the word I like, wealth creation within the mwananchi.
To mitigate the damage and losses caused by poor financial reporting and corporate governance, Prof. Gituro pointed out that impunity both in the public and private sector must be dealt with.
First and foremost is to appreciate good governance pays. Good governance has wealth, creates wealth. Now, the people we look in terms of poor governance, people we look in terms of the scandals, they are doing it with impunity. So we must come back and deal with them with impunity. To me, it's no two ways. Probably we have to be no-nonsense in terms of implementing the law to the letter and fast-tracking that. We can't follow the law for the next 4 years. That will not help us. But why can't we fast-track that within a week, if when anyone is implicated, the case is determined? So I think we need to get into that. And I'm a believer in strong believer in the law, because we are not in a jungle, but we can fast-track that law and deal with it squarely.
As the organizations gear for the Fire Awards tomorrow night, it will be a night of victories that go beyond the gala, as those involved will have more than just the trophies to show for it. They will endeavor for even better financial reporting practices that will drive their businesses to greater heights. In our present world, businesses are expected to tackle the world's environmental and social challenges as responsible global citizens. In line with this, Liquid Telecom, an organization with diverse interests in the telecommunications sector, today launched its 2017-2018 sustainability report. Our field team was present and filed the following report.
While officiating the launch, Adil El Yosefi, Regional CEO, Liquid Telecom, started by pointing out that the continued success of an organization is tied to its sustainable business practices.
We are launching our 2017-2018 sustainability report. When we speak about sustainability, it means the long run, isn't it? Okay? And if a business wants to be there in the long run, they need to make sure that they are doing well, obviously, but they also that they are doing the right things by the community, by their staff, and by the environment.
But still, sometimes we can get...
The regional CEO went on to note the partnership forged with Ketraco that will see remote areas get connected.
You have seen us recently cement and confirm our partnership with Ketraco. We are very pleased that Liquid Telecom has actually partnered with Ketraco to commercialize their fiber network across the country. This will go a long way into providing more redundancy to our current customers, but more importantly, to actually open up remote areas for connectivity.
He went on to highlight how business drives sustainable practices from within by taking care of their employees' interests.
Our culture is a culture which is not only pushes for business growth, but also pushes for staff growth and staff satisfaction. So with this, we ensure that our staff are well trained, that our staff are protected in terms of conflict of interests, and we ensure that our staff interests are aligned to the business growth in terms of our incentives and in terms of our leadership.
Doing the same within your business.
In terms of the community, he noted the practices they have put in place to ensure they interact with them responsibly.
We deal with our community at large. As I said, a sustainable business is not a business only which does well, but also, in our mind, in Liquid Telecom, a business where staff do well, but also the community does well. Okay? And this, we try to make sure that we look at it from two perspectives. The environmental perspective and giving back to the community. So,
to reduce the environmental footprint, the regional head went on to break down their efforts towards going green.
In terms of the environment, we always look at ways where we can have a clean business. Obviously, we need to use, for example, fuel to conduct our operations, so we're always looking at ways of how we can do that better through pooling or through using some innovative means. We always look at how much energy we are using, and we try to bring in use of renewable energy like solar, or like using energy from sources which are cleaner.
And just how is the business giving back to the community?
And in terms of what we call corporate social responsibility or community responsibility, we try actually to conduct it in a way which makes sense and aligns to our businesses. We actually try to see, as a business, what we can do with our assets to support the community. So, for example, this year we have launched an ambitious scholarship program for university students, where we have selected over 20 students for whom we will pay fully the scholarships, because we believe that through education the business community can flourish. And through education we will have more customers in the future, and through education we can actually improve the environment for all of us.
The marketing manager, Nunjeni Aseli, provided more insight as to why they settled on education scholarships as their CSR of choice.
Our aim is to bring up transformational leaders that will be able to impact Kenya tomorrow and today.
As the call for sustainable business practices get louder and gain more impetus, we only can hope more businesses heed to this call and do the right thing by our world.
Let us now take a look at the day's market performance, and here is a summary. That is just a summary of how the markets performed, but for more in-depth analysis of the same, tune in tomorrow morning for my next big bet with Rachel Nderitu and Karanja Daniel. Let's now take a look at the day's weather report. Well, very quickly, let's finish the conversation we started yesterday about colors and culture in the business world. Now, yesterday I was telling you, I'll tell you what white symbolizes in China. Well, white is a metallic color that symbolizes gold and symbolizes peace. However, it also symbolizes mourning. So white is the color and was the color that the Chinese wear when they're going to funerals, particularly the ancient Chinese. So if you have a business meeting with Chinese counterparts tomorrow, please avoid white if you want the deal. That is it from the Business News Desk tonight. On behalf of everyone that made it a success, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.